In the summer of 1954, a group of 22 boys arrived at a secluded camp in Robbers Cave State Park, Oklahoma, in the United States of America. They believed that they were there for an ordinary summer of hiking, swimming, and campfires. What they didn't know is that they had stepped into one of the most influential and indeed ethically troubling psychological experiments of the 20th century. Behind the rustic cabins and games lay the careful design of social psychologist Muzafer Sherif, who sought to uncover the roots of group conflict and cooperation. What he discovered would change how we understand prejudice, identity, and peace itself. Sherif divided the boys into two groups, later named the Rattlers and the Eagles, keeping each group unaware of the existence of the other group. During the first stage of the experiment, the groups developed strong in-group identities. They made flags, created rituals, chose leaders, and forged tight bonds. And they even named themselves, that each group gave their group their own name. And all of this happened effortlessly and almost automatically. With very little prompting, they created a sense of us. Only after these bonds had been formed did Sherif reveal the existence of another group. The boys were then placed in competitive games where only one team could win prizes. Very quickly, good-natured play turned into hostility. The Rattlers raided the Eagles' cabins, burned their flags and hurled insults, and the Eagles retaliated in kind. Fights broke out, food fights turned into fistfights. The boys, once ordinary and cooperative, became bitterly divided. Sherif had uncovered a deep truth. Competition over scarce rewards breeds prejudice and hostility. When groups perceive each other as rivals, they begin to see not individuals, but enemies. Yet Sherif also wanted to know how this hostility could be undone. In the final stage of the experiment, the researchers introduced a series of superordinate goals, problems that neither group could solve alone. A truck broke down and both groups had to pull it together. The camp's water supply mysteriously failed and everyone had to work to find and fix the problem. Bit by bit, the boys began to cooperate. Hostility gave way to laughter. Shared labour eroded suspicion. By the end of the camp, they were sharing meals, riding the same bus home, and even using their prize money to buy everyone ice cream. Sherif called this principle realistic conflict theory. Intergroup conflict arises when groups compete for limited resources, but it can be reduced when they pursue shared, superordinate goals that require cooperation. It was a profound insight, and one that would eventually ripple far beyond the forested hills of Oklahoma. Despite its brilliance, the Robbers Cave is now remembered as an ethical nightmare. The boys had not consented to participate in the study. Their parents were misled about the camp's purpose. Sherif's team manipulated, deceived, and provoked the children, even spying on them to observe the conflict they themselves had engineered. The boys were emotionally distressed, angry, and at times frightened. There was no true opportunity to withdraw, nor any clear debriefing once the study ended. By modern standards, it violated nearly every ethical guideline in psychology, yet ironically, an experiment built on deception would go on to illuminate the principles behind reconciliation and peacebuilding across the world. The lessons of Robbers Cave profoundly shaped later theories of intergroup relations. Psychologists such as Gordon Allport expanded Sherif's insights into the contact hypothesis, the idea that structured, cooperative contact between groups can reduce prejudice, but only when certain conditions are met: equal status, common goals, and institutional support. These principles would find their way into peace-building efforts in some of the world's most divided societies. For decades, Northern Ireland was fractured by sectarian conflicts by Catholic nationalists and Protestant unionists. A conflict not unlike Sherif's boys, only on a much more tragic, historic scale. There were segregated schools and neighbourhoods, and social institutions reinforced division and mistrust. When peacebuilders sought to heal these rifts, they turned to the very ideas Sherif had demonstrated decades earlier, that cooperation towards shared goals could dissolve entrenched hostility. This thinking inspired the integrated schools movement in the 1980s, which brought children from both communities into the same classrooms. These schools didn't merely place Catholic and Protestant students side by side. They designed collaborative learning environments where teamwork, joint projects, and shared achievements replaced rivalry. The results mirrored the Robbers Cave final stage. Prejudice declined, empathy increased, and friendships began to cross the old divide. Former enemies working together redefined the boundaries of us. Beyond education, similar principles shaped community and youth programs such as Peace Players International, which used team sports to unite children across sectarian lines. Cooperation wasn't abstract, it was lived, felt, and practiced. In time, these ideas influenced the broader peace process, culminating in what we now call the Good Friday Agreement in 1998, which institutionalized power sharing and cross-community cooperation. The message was clear. Sustainable peace depended on creating interdependence, on giving both sides a stake in shared success. Sherif's work became one of the intellectual foundations of peace psychology, a field that studies how conflict arises and how it can be transformed. From Israel-Palestine to Rwanda and South Africa, his ideas shaped reconciliation programs built around shared projects, equal participation, and mutual dependence. In each context, the logic is the same. Groups in conflict cannot simply be told to coexist. They must be given a reason to need each other. Whether through rebuilding infrastructure, restoring communities, or pursuing national reconciliation, peace emerges when people collaborate on goals that transcend their divisions. And there is a striking irony at the heart of this story. Sherif's experiment, which was ethically indefensible by today's standards, revealed one of the most humane truths about us, that conflict is not inevitable. Human beings are not doomed to tribal hostility. Our identities and loyalties are flexible, shaped by context and purpose. When we are made to compete, we divide. When we are made to cooperate, we unite. The boys at Robbers Cave returned home changed, though they never knew the significance of what they had been part of. Their brief summer of conflict and reconciliation became a microcosm of human society, a small drama that continues to echo in classrooms, communities, and peace tables around the world. So the Robbers Cave experiment began as a troubling study of how easily we turn against one another. But its enduring legacy lies in what came after, the discovery that our division, however fierce, can be undone by shared purpose. From the dusty hills of Oklahoma to the fractured streets of Belfast, Sherif's insights have shown that peace is not merely the absence of conflict, it is the active creation of interdependence, the deliberate construction of a new we. In the end, what Sherif uncovered at great ethical cost was a paradox of human nature. We are wired for belonging, but also for bridge building. The same instincts that divide us can, under the right conditions, become the very foundation of peace itself.